Hello and welcome to another video from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Today I'm joined by Neale to discuss the team news for Gameweek 36, and you haven't got long to get this video in, so make sure you're watching and updating yourself on all the team news you can. It's a Friday night deadline because obviously Liverpool playing Huddersfield tonight. So yeah, Neale, it's been a busy day for you so far. I've had loads of press conferences, haven't we? So you're typing incredibly fast this afternoon.
Yeah, I apologise for any typos in the team news section if anybody spots any. But yeah, 14 press conferences today, which is all the more annoying because it's a Friday night deadline. So I've got through them all pretty much. Still got to watch a few more in detail, but I've got the headline news any from all of them. So we'll crack on. I think perhaps starting with one that happened yesterday.
Yeah. That's right. So this press conference did happen yesterday, but of course it is Liverpool playing tonight. So it's a big deal for a lot of people. Triple captaincy potentially on the line for some, involving Mohamed Salah, perhaps put off by that trip to the USA. But Jurgen Klopp generally I think he started the press conference with this subject. I think so. Let's dive straight into that. Neale, and tell us what Klopp had to say about Salah's travels.
Yeah, well, we recorded a captain video about 1 o'clock yesterday, and we were fretting, weren't we, about the possibility of rotation. Certainly with Salah, given that he's been involved in, he was at the time 100 ceremony in New York in midweek. And this year, it didn't take long for this question to come up in the press conference. But Klopp says, look, travelling these days isn't a problem. He's missed one session, which was Wednesday, and that was a light session. We heard about that previously. So he was going to be back in training on Thursday, and according to Klopp, and these are his words, everything will be fine again. He's back. So that hopefully will assuage a lot of fears amongst people who either own him or are thinking about owning him or are going to captain him. And there was probably better news on top of that as well for all the other assets that we own. I'm assuming there'll be a lot of people tripling up on Liverpool this week. So the other nagging doubt for tonight's game was the fact that Liverpool's playing Barcelona next Wednesday. But Klopp said in emphatic terms that he's not thinking of that game, that he wouldn't push that wrong mindset by naming a fresh, sort of strange lineup. And he added that they've got enough time to recover for the next game, and they've had enough time to recover from the last game. So really reassuring words, I think, from Klopp. He still could pull the rug from underneath us and play Divock Origi up front or something like that. But going off what he said, purely on that, then very positive words.
And he generally has a track record just about kind of sticking by what he said. He's no Eddie Howe, I think is pretty much the best way of describing it. As you say, that's what people have been worried about. It's been a big question that we've been fielding a lot this week on site. Is he going to rotate? As you say, these are really reassuring words from him. But on the subject of rotation, before we just come on to more rotation, just one other piece that I just wanted to touch on. We had that piece of news from Huddersfield about Aaron Moy, which feels probably not that relevant because no one's really got Huddersfield players, but I suppose it's just further fuel on the fire, I suppose, of just kind of everything going wrong at Huddersfield, and perhaps maybe might make things a little bit more exciting for Liverpool assets. I mean, has Moy been playing too much for Huddersfield recently? Is this much of a blow for them?
I suppose in the sense that he is as close to a creative hub as they've got. You know, he's that sort of presence in the ball playing midfielder. He's been in and out the side to an extent. He might not even have played, but he did play quite well against Watford last weekend. So yeah, this came after the press conference, so I watched that in its entirety. There's plenty of other injury concerns. Ben Hamer's out, for example, so they'll be playing Jonas Lossell in goal. Adama Diakabi's back. But yeah, we had a roundup, little bulletin from Huddersfield this morning saying Moyes picked up a knock in training. He's not definitely out, but that was a fresh yellow flag that appeared on FPL today, which would only, I would suggest, aid the chances of a Liverpool clean sheet.
Absolutely. Well, as we said, we were talking about rotation with Liverpool. Let's talk about it for Man City now. And obviously, we've kind of been saying in the last couple of days they're not in the Champions League anymore. So maybe they're going to rotate less. But we've got some interesting quotes from Pep. Obviously, he's given an injury update too, so you can touch on that as well. But it looks like he's finally given us some clues on how to crack Pep Roulette with some criteria for who he picks and in what position. It's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't normally need to transcribe much from Pep's press conferences because he just gives us the bare minimum. But I was typing away furiously there in the last hour. So yeah, I'll start with the injury roundup. De Bruyne is out as we expected. Fernandinho will be assessed. He doesn't know entirely if he's going to be ready. He's got a knee problem. No update on Gundogan, who came off with what Guardiola called, I think it was a heavy kick against Manchester United, but he lasted 88 minutes and doesn't seem too badly hurt. So yes, on the subject of rotation, or rather his tactical preferences on Wednesday. So someone asked him why John Stones was omitted from the starting 11. And he said it was because he needed specific qualities for one central defender. And he likes Nicholas Otamendi and Vincent Kompany when an opposition team plays long balls, which I'm not casting any aspersions on Burnley here, but they are known to like an aerial cross. So you'd perhaps expect Stones to get omitted this weekend based on those comments. We were just talking off air about how we'd probably expect Otamendi to come in alongside Laporte, or how he even might push Laporte over to left back if he wants to add aerial height to his Manchester City side to combat the likes of Chris Wood, Ashley Barnes, Ben Mee, Jim Tarkowski. Then he might play with Otamendi and Kompany at centre half and Laporte at left back. He doesn't generally tailor to the opposition needs. City are well capable of beating Burnley without looking at their threats, but it's something he might be considering anyway. And he also said about David Silva. So he said, would teams play high, I need maybe Leroy Sané, and they play deep, David Silva in the pockets is an incredible player. So that tends to suggest that David Silva might be needed. I mean, Burnley we saw them have a bit of attacking ambition at Stamford Bridge actually on Monday. They didn't just sit back. They did in the second half once they got to 2-2, but they really had a go at Chelsea. I would suspect they'll show a bit less attacking ambition against Man City, else they'll be picked off in the way they were against Liverpool at Anfield. But yeah, lots of interesting comments. All of them, well, the most salient ones I've transcribed onto the site, and I'll be doing them at the press conference roundup later on as well. But yeah, stuff of substance from Guardiola for once.
Yeah, it's quite rare, isn't it? I mean, yeah. On the subject of on the defensive ones, I mean, I suppose Laporte generally is pretty nailed on anyway. But bearing in mind that he does also have options at left back, do you think these comments perhaps just maybe are a slight chink in the armour of Laporte's kind of nailed on status in the team?
Possibly, but I think when he's been fit, he's only not started. I think it's one of the games. So there was 3 games he missed, 28-30. One of them he's on the bench for, but he was coming back from an injury then. He wasn't fully fit. The only game he hasn't played or started when he's been 100% fit was the Watford away game, Gameweek 15. So he's been as close to Neale. He's almost like the Otamendi role of last season.
Yeah.
He's been the one centre defender that everyone else revolves around. So City's got an 8-day breather after this. I wouldn't expect there to be much in the way of rests. And I think he'll be playing, whether that be at centre back or left back. I own him. I'll be playing him. So yeah, nothing to suggest he won't play anyway. More a reason why John Stones wasn't included at Old Trafford.
I suppose conspicuous by their absence from this sort of tactical, this is who I like to play or not play, is Sterling and Aguero. So I mean, we could be fairly confident they're going to be starting, can't we? As
confident as we can be, yeah. We never really know, but yeah, nothing mentioned in name. As I say, 8 days until that Leicester game in Gameweek 37, so I'm sure you'll flog them one last time before they get a welcome rest.
Yeah, now speaking of a team where there isn't that too much option to rotate, kind of very different to Man City right now, is Spurs, who seem to be having a bit of an ongoing injury crisis, which actually, to be honest, is frustrating for Pochettino, but probably good for fantasy managers, right? We've got lots of people ruled out.
Yeah, exactly. So Kane, Aurier, Winks, Sissoko, Lamela, all out, all red flagged. That does limit his options, I think, in terms of rotating ahead of next Tuesday, which is the Ajax game, Champions League semi-final. I would still expect some changes. He's got plenty of bodies in defence. So Juan Foyth, Davinson Sanchez, Walker Peters, Davies, names like that. But further forward, like you say, a lot of people will still want Eriksen, less so Ali. But he hasn't got much in the way of second string options available to rotate those players with. Eric Dyer will probably come back in. He was benched in midweek. Son Heung-min, we mentioned yesterday, we would expect him to play because he is suspended for that first leg against Ajax. So he might be up front with Llorente and who knows, Vincent Janssen. We saw him taking the pitch on Tuesday, didn't we? But not many players for Pochettino to rotate with in midfield, certainly in the central positions, which would encourage you, I think, if you owned Eriksen, who has played. I mentioned this in the team news. He's played 90 minutes in every league game this calendar year, so it's like a Alan Partridge school for the deaf situation. You don't know if he is rotation proof or if he's in need of a rest the most. It's difficult one to work out. But yeah, that's as much as we got from Poch so far. He did mention that he likes one fight on the right hand side, so he could play either as the right hand side of the central three or as a right back instead of Walker Peters or Trippier. So yeah, rotation a possibility, but not many people to rotate with.
Yeah, definitely limited options. Moving across to Newcastle now. A lot of people have been looking at their Brighton assets if they held on to them, and this is largely going to be in defence. Ryan and Duffy is still in my squad. Injury update out of Newcastle kind of confirmed what we were all suspecting about Almiron. Perhaps maybe this particular news about Almiron makes a Brighton clean sheet this week a little bit more likely.
Difficult to say, isn't it? It's really it's at home where they've really disappointed, I think, of late. And we've mentioned how much Almiron's made Perez and Rondon better players. So I suppose in that regard, then that is a positive for Brighton. Newcastle have also got Jamal Lascelles out. That's a recent update from Benitez. He's got a stomach illness. He'll be out. So probably Federico Fernandez will come in. They're well stocked for the centre, so shouldn't be a problem. Themselves, like they've only got Davy Proper out, and Anthony Knockaert is back from suspension. So not much happening in the way of injury news there. I beg your pardon. I've just did that audio come out on the computer? Sorry, I just had a pop up there. I was looking at Pochettino's press conference.
No worries.
The dangers of opening a Trinity Mirror link.
Tell me about it.
During a video. You got to get a pop up.
They love their autoplay feature.
They do. So anyway, Newcastle down Almiron and Lascelles, Brighton only without Davy Proper. I think.
Just good to cover some of these teams. Obviously, a lot of interest is going to be in the bigger ones, but yeah, some people still clinging on to those Brighton assets, hanging over from the double game weeks that we've had. Little update from Chelsea. Sarri's given us an update on Rudiger, I think.
Yeah, he says he's okay, so that does sound good regarding his involvement on Sunday against Man United. No update on Alonso. He's got this gluteal injury, but he did say Kante, they're not sure they'll be able to recover him. He picked up that rib injury on, Monday night against Burnley. Now, the other sort of takeaway line from Sarri's press conference, less about injury news, was he said that we'll be looking to win the game, but we must not lose, which maybe suggests he's going to err on the side of caution with his team selection. And by which I mean possibly play Eden Hazard as the false nine up front.
Oh, right.
That's what I've gone with in the team news. That's not a given. But he has done this in matches against the Big Six this season. He's said repeatedly that he likes Hazard as a false nine because he adds that defensive control by him playing as a false nine, dropping back into midfield. It does sound like he's being cagey with his team selection. Particularly if Kante is not there as well, then you might opt against starting Higuain up front. That's just my interpretation of his comments. That's not gospel. And I don't know many people have still got Higuain.
His price has dropped like a stone recently. He's down to 9 million.
Is he just above 9 now, I think so?
Yeah. So everyone's gone off him. Yeah.
And as for Man United, who Chelsea are up against, they have got Ander Herrera probably back. Scott McTominay has got a late fitness test, so nobody that's really going to trouble anybody in the fantasy world anyway. Just sort of jobbing central midfielders who very few people are going to own. But they're nearing full fitness after an injury ravaged couple of months.
Yeah, been a lot of injuries at Man United, definitely. One injury that caught people off a little bit off guard in the last game week was Aubameyang with his small procedure on a sinus, which is, I mean, people have had some bad luck with injuries this year, but I mean that's such an odd one. There's been an update on that, hasn't there?
Yeah, I wonder if this was linked. Well, it probably was linked to his illness a couple of weeks ago when he was dropped to the bench. He's had the procedure, and now Arsenal gave the medical bulletin a couple of hours ago, and they said he'll be assessed. Ramsey and Suarez are still out, but we've had an update since then saying he's actually trained today. And then he said if he trains tomorrow, then he's going to be fine. So given that he had the rest in midweek against Wolves, I think he'll probably feature based on those comments. Whether that's at the expense of Lacazette or alongside him remains to be seen, because Emery is I think there's stiff competition, but of all the 20 managers, he's the toughest to second guess, because Wednesday night, prime example, made 7 changes his formation, both at the start of the game and during the game. So I've no conviction in my team news predictions for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's fine. We don't expect you to have any, because I don't even think he knows, because I think he has he's made more halftime changes than any manager in the Premier League this season by a long, long way. So I mean, he's not sure, because he'll change it himself. So yeah, don't worry. We're not holding you to any kind of standard on the Arsenal team news. Don't worry. Have we got anything else just to rattle through at the end? Anything that's just sort of worth clearing up on?
I'll go through a quick A to Z, the team news, and I'll try and omit the ones I've already talked about. So, Junior Stanislas, Adam Smith are out for Bournemouth, adding to an already long, lengthy injury list. They've got real problems at fullback. Burnley, just a doubt over Phil Barsley, but he's back in contention. Should be all right to feature. Cardiff, who are we at Fulham? Arta is still 50-50. Rolls is out for the season, so problems in central midfield there. Crystal Palace, they are still without Tompkins, Sacco and Schlupp. I think that's going to be the case for the rest of the season, certainly for Schlupp and Tompkins' case. Everton, who have been in quite good form. People might be looking at him for the season run-in. Lucas Digne is okay. He's fine. Gary Mina's back in training. Theo Walcott's got an illness and will be assessed. But the big news is that Richarlison is a major doubt, according to Marco Silva. This was yesterday's press conference. So they're going to look at him, but I think he's 25% on FPL, which sounds about right to me. And I think he's, given the fact that Silva repeatedly stressed that he was a big doubt and then a major doubt, then could be looking at someone like Walcott if he's past fit, or Ademola Lookman if not, along that right wing. Fulham, Alfie Mawson's back after a long period out, and Tom Kearney's back from paternity leave. Huddersfield we've covered. Leicester, no new injury news there. Same with Wolves, all fit according to Santo. Southampton, they've got Vestergaard out, and they've got fresh injury concerns over Bertrand and Armstrong. Long should be fine, so he might continue up front instead of Danny Ings. Watford is the one we haven't heard yet, because it's embargoed until 5 o'clock, which is really annoying, especially on a Friday deadline. Yeah. So I'll keep you posted on that on Twitter. And I think the last team to cover is West Ham, who have Sami Nasri still unavailable, but Lanzini and Hernandez are back in training. So they could be back in contention for the Spurs game tomorrow.
Yeah. Nice one. Yeah, thanks for rattling through that
okay.
in rapid, quick time as well. That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, you're right on the Watford thing. The Watford thing is so frustrating. It's as if they have no, concern for what we're all fretting about. I mean, I don't have any attacking Watford players. I think mine are all fine. But people thinking about De La Feu or Gray, they're going to carry on in their roles. It's annoying to have to do it so close to deadline, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a recurring theme for Watford, unfortunately. It's not so bad when it's a 12:30 deadline on a Saturday, 11:30 rather. But yeah, it'll be a last-minute job. Writing an update the team news for that. I've got a rudimentary outline already in place in the team news tab based on previous reports. I think we're expecting Hollebass back. He was ruled out of the Tuesday night game against Southampton, but he was expected back in training 1 or 2 days after that. So he should be in contention. The others, I'm less confident of saying, but Deeney is still suspended. This is the last match of a 3-game ban. So that's as much as we know about Watford, unfortunately.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone, make sure you just stay tuned to Twitter and the site to catch those ones out. And yeah, hopefully you get the information you need before the deadline. Thanks, Neale, for spending some time this afternoon. I know it's a busy one for you today. More press conferences on a Friday than I can remember, so really appreciate you giving us that update.
That's all, brother. Yeah, I'll hopefully have a more relaxed time of it. Try and see you again for the next team news video. But yeah, all the best, everybody.
Yeah, cheers. Good luck with the game week.